thanks for joining us on this episode of Tech Total Access. I'm your host, Alexis Walsh. Here to recap this past week's Hokie sports are our analysts Ricky LaBlue and Russell Clark. The men's basketball team faced Florida State last weekend, and after being down for most of the game, came back to win by 10. Seth Allen had his best game of the season, scoring 23 points and earning the title Hardest Worker by the commentators. The Hokies shot the lights out from beyond the arc, making 11 of 19 three-pointers. Justin Robinson was 100% from the three-point line, making 3 total, a career high. The team also forced 7 turnovers on the defensive end. Reporter Becca Tedesco has more on the game.
I'm here in Castle Coliseum where the Hokies just beat Florida State 83-73.
Justin Robinson scored 10 out of his 13 points in the last 4 minutes of the game against Florida State on Saturday, resulting in a victory for the Hokies 83-73. The win brought the Hokies to 14-13 overall and 6-8 in the ACC. Seth Allen scored 17 of his 23 points in the second half after coming back from taking a hit to the face, helping the Hokies rally from 45-37 halftime deficit. But it was Robinson who made the big three-pointers at the end of the game. Chris Clark injured his left ankle during a foul during the last 10 minutes of the first half. This injury adds another roadblock after Clark's fractured his foot in December. The Hokies shot a 52.8%, 28 out of 53, their best of all season. Other big scorers for the Hokies included Jalen Hudson with 13 points and Justin Bibbs and Zach Leday with 12.
I think in the first half, our intensity on defense wasn't where it needed to be, and we came out in the second half amped up, locked in, and we just played. All 5 guys were like ready to play defensively. It's a great win. It's a great start. We want to finish the right way, and it's a good way to start that.
No, I think we take it game by game and day by day because we never want to give away 24 hours. But at the same time, I have enough confidence in my team that if we keep battling and keep fighting, we can hang around and possibly, God's will, beat every team in the ACC.
I think we're a long way away from playing in any postseason tournament. But I do think that winning today at least gives us hope. And I think hope is maybe the most valuable thing in life, if not in sport. And when you're rewarded for your work, it gives you breath.
Reporting for VTTV, I'm Becca Tedesco.
So what are your thoughts?
This was a really big win for this team. I really thought they were going to falter down the stretch with not having Seth on the floor, left midway through the second half with that eye injury, but he comes back and really boosted them down the stretch.
Yeah, and this was a huge offensive game for the whole team. To put up 83 points is great to see, especially coming off 2 games where they failed to even score 50. So great game, and like you said, Seth Allen, he was on fire, shot 4 or 5 from deep. He was balling out there.
Yeah, I really liked how Buzz went small down the stretch as well. We saw Zach Leday move to the 5, which we haven't seen him do that much this season. Boris Bojanowski for Florida State was really good. He was getting a lot of easy shots inside. He was also getting easy putbacks, which is a problem for Tech all game long. But when they moved Zach Leday to the 5, that forced Florida State to switch it up, and it really, I think, affected their flow offensively.
Yeah, I think Buzz used his rotation very well throughout the game, and while they trailed for most of the game, they were able to come back, take the lead, and keep that lead down the stretch to win the game. And that's great to see from this team because they lost a lot of close games earlier in the season. And that's something we thought would plague them, but this is a huge victory.
Yeah, and despite the adversity, of course, that they lose Chris Clark in this game as well, depending on how well they do down the stretch, they can still make the NIT. And I think that that's a big, big thing for Tech fans in this program, even though it might not really mean much because you got to consider where this program's been these last couple of years.
Yeah, absolutely. That's huge. Coming off 2 ACC wins last year, so that's great.
Yeah.
Well, with the win, the Hokies moved to 14-13 overall and 6-8 in the ACC. They also snapped a 3-game losing streak to the Seminoles. Their next home game is against Pittsburgh on Wednesday, March 2nd at 7 p.m. The women's basketball team didn't have the same luck, losing to Duke at home and to the Hurricanes in Miami. Both were heartbreakingly close, though, and the Miami game even went into overtime. Reporter Catherine Irvin has more on the game against Duke.
I'm here at Castle Coliseum where the Hokies just lost to Duke 62-66. The women's basketball team came out strong Thursday evening against Duke. The Hokies shot 31% from three-point range and 37% from field goal range. With great looks inside the paint as well, the Hokies managed to get more attempted field goals up in both halves compared to Duke. Both teams did a great job of pushing the ball up the floor and displayed fluid passing on the offensive end. The leading scorer for the Hokies was number 2, Sydney Cook, contributing a total of 20 points to the board. Senior forward number 4, Hannah Young, followed that with a 15-point game. Virginia Tech led Duke 31-27 going into halftime, but Duke outscored Tech 22-15 in the third quarter. Winning the fourth quarter as well by just 1 point, it was enough to go home with a win for Duke. The Hokies fought hard until the end, but Duke slipped by 62-66. Virginia Tech head coach Dennis Wolff had a short commentary on the shooting performance by his players after the game and hopes to push forward with a positive attitude down the road for the Hokies.
It takes a lot of courage to take all the shots that they took.
For VTTV, I'm Katherine Irvin.
Okay, guys, so what did you think of the Hokies' performance against Duke?
I was really disappointed. I mean, they were leading down the stretch. I really liked how they were flowing defensively. Again, they're one of the best defenses really in the nation. But, again, down the stretch, they struggled to make shots, and that's really been a problem for them all year.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you said it. They played well for the most of the game, and it was much closer than most of their ACC games have been this year. But they just didn't shoot well enough down the stretch, and just a couple possessions is all it takes in a game of basketball to really decide.
Yeah, and for me, I always look at how Vanessa Panusa shoots, because usually when she shoots well, this team wins. She was 4 of 14, and that's just not going to cut it. And also, two bench players scored in this game. They just don't have depth right now.
Yeah, that's definitely true.
Well, switching gears to the Miami game, going into overtime, can you guys break that down for us?
Yeah, I mean, I thought that this game, they played really well. I mean, Miami's a very good team. They're ranked in the top 20. And just in overtime, again, we saw them not be able to score. And again, that's been a problem for them all year long.
Yeah, but I'm kind of frustrated by this game because I don't think they should have even gone to overtime. They had 23 turnovers in this game. If you can cut that down to 15 or fewer, they win this game. I mean, you just can't be that sloppy with the ball.
Yeah, and again, the shooting was poor. They shot, close to 30% again, and Vanessa Panusa's 3 of 11 in this game. So again, they're not making outside perimeter shots, and Coach Wolff has said multiple times last year and this year, if they're not making perimeter shots, they're not going to win.
Yeah, that's what we've seen from this team is they live and die by the 3, and they just haven't been successful at living by it this year.
Yeah.
All right, well, thanks, guys. Coming up after the break, we'll give you the details on the VT Challenge track meet, as well as the lacrosse team's big overtime win against High Point. Stay tuned.
So, same time next week?
Well, of course. Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. For free tips to help you save, go to Feed the Pig.
The earthquakes you see in movies are one thing, but real life is a completely different animal. Just because you can't predict an earthquake doesn't mean that you can't prepare for one. In the event of a real earthquake, you should drop, cover, and hold on. Visit ready.gov/earthquake and practice what to do to keep you and your family safe in the event of a real earthquake. And you'll be seen as a hero by your family and your loved ones.
Visit ready.gov/earthquake today.
Track and field team saw strong performances from their distance runners on the first day of the VT Challenge meet, the final meet of the indoor season. The Hokies competed against 3 ACC schools, Clemson, Duke, and North Carolina. An additional 12 schools from the region competed in the meet. The Hokies also got strong performances from their women's hurdlers and sprinters. The team wrapped up the Virginia Tech Challenge with 4 top 2 finishes by their relay teams. So what did you guys think about the track meet?
I was really encouraged. I mean, they're heading right into the ACC Indoor Championships, which are next week. This is the final meet before that. This is a really strong performance for them.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you said, Alexis, 4 top 2 finishes by our athletes, and it's great to see so many players have their personal best or season best. I feel like everyone's just feeling really well, and they're performing well heading into these final weeks.
And also, too, I liked how they had a 1-2 finish in the women's distance medley relay. That was really important, too. But again, I mean, Virginia Tech is historically a very good track and field program, and I expect them to do very well in the ACCs.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, well, moving on to lacrosse, the Hokies faced High Point last Sunday in the indoor practice facility. It was a game with strong offensive performances from both teams, but Virginia Tech overcame a 5-point deficit to win in a thrilling overtime finish. Reporter Becca Tedesco has more.
I'm here in the indoor practice facility where the Hokies just beat High Point 14-13.
The women's lacrosse team recovered after being down by 5 in the second half of their game against High Point on Sunday to win 14-13 in overtime. Although the Hokies and High Point were scoring back and forth for a majority of the game, the Hokies seemed to have lost stamina at the end of the first half, ending the half down by 3 with a score of 9-6. The beginning of the second half didn't start off any better. With a score of 11-6, the Hokies knew it was time to step up their game if they wanted a chance to win. With 25 minutes left in regulation, they did exactly that, scoring 8 of the 9 next goals. Tristan McGinley started off the scoring trend in the 23rd minute of the second half, giving the Hokies hope. Christine Lascalzo was on fire, scoring 4 goals, 3 of which were back-to-back, and brought the team to a tie of 13-13 shortly before the end of regulation time and sending the game into overtime. The Hokies gained possession shortly after overtime started, and Megan Massera was there to score the game winner, bringing the Hokies to win 14-13 against High Point.
Just really proud overall of the fight that our team exhibited today.
Reporting for VTTV, this is Becca Tedesco.
So what did you guys think about the girls lacrosse game?
I mean, this was thrilling. I mean, Tech was down 2 goals in the regulation. They come back and score 2 late, and then are able to get that one in overtime to push them ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. And both those goals coming from Christine Lascalzo.
Yeah.
She was great. And, yeah, it's just a super exciting game to win in overtime like that.
And also, too, they've won 4 out of their last 5 after losing the opening game for this team. I'm really encouraged by them. I think that they can actually do some damage moving forward.
Yeah, we've seen multiple players have good games, and I think they'll have a great season.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, guys. With the win, the Hokies moved to 4-2 overall. After the break, we'll talk about the Hokie baseball team and softball up next. We'll be right back.
It's a beautiful day out here. Sunny today with light breezes, giving way to clouds in the afternoon. We could see some light precipitation to moderate precipitation later on, followed by powerful storm-like conditions. 90 miles per hour winds are expected. Authorities are asking everyone, stay indoors. Come on, that's it. Let's go.
Team struggled last weekend at the ACC Big Ten Challenge Tournament in Tallahassee, Florida. They went 0-4. Guys, what did you think was their biggest obstacle?
Well, I mean, they're struggling to hit, the pitching's not there, and when both of those things are happening, it's really hard to win.
Yeah, it's easy to make the excuse that all the teams that were playing were ranked.
Yeah,
they were
definitely
good teams, but still, even in their high-scoring game of 3 points, they only had 2 hits in that game. I mean, they just got to get some hitting power from somewhere.
Yeah, I'm really surprised that the pitching staff hasn't been able to do better than they've done. Last year, Maggie Tyler and Michaela Aiken, both of them were really good. Chelsea Whitcomb comes back from injury, and now she's struggling as well. It seems like the offense hasn't really found their stride either. They scored 5 runs in all 4 of those games. And again, you mentioned, of course, you played number 2 Michigan twice. You played number 18 Minnesota twice. I get that. They're talented. But you've got to put out better performances than that.
Yeah, especially coming from Maggie, like you said. We were expecting her to have a great season, and she's now 0-4 pitching. So we're looking for them to pick it up and hopefully find some offense and pitching from somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't help that they've played Michigan 3 times this year, obviously. But I'm going to think that when they get into these later non-conference games before the ACC, I think they might be able to build a little bit momentum, a little bit confidence.
Well, hopefully they can redeem themselves. The team has another tournament this weekend in South Carolina before heading back to Blacksburg for their first home game against Radford on March 2nd. The baseball team played in the Citadel in a 3-game bout in Charleston, South Carolina last weekend. The Hokies only came away with 1 win, but it was a shutout. So what did you guys think of this series of games?
Well, it was really good for them to win that last game, but again, the Citadel, not a really top quality program. was a little disappointed.
Yeah, it was kind of an interesting series because the first 2 games were close and kind of could have gone either way. The Citadel won, and then the last game, the Hokies just destroyed them 12-0. So it's kind of an odd thing to see from the team.
Yeah, I mean, Kit Sheets was the only guy that in the rotation was able to pick up a win, and he obviously pitched really, really well. But Phil Soretta, who for that lineup was really lacking some seniors, hit 500 in 3 games and also had 3 RBIs, so it's definitely a bright spot for this team.
Yeah, it was just an odd weekend, but I'm expecting good things from this baseball team this year.
Yeah, I mean, I think that they've just got to get into the season, get a little bit of a rhythm going. There's obviously a lot of young talent on this team. They lost a lot of seniors last year, but if they can build up their confidence heading into the ACC, they should be able to make the tournament.
Absolutely.
Definitely sounds like an exciting season. While the Hokies played their first home game of the season on Tuesday, reporter Ian Andrews has more.
I'm here at English Field where the Hokies just beat East Tennessee State 11-0. The Hokies took on East Tennessee State University in their home opener. Pitcher Andrew McDonald got the start on the mound for the Hokies. McDonald performed well in his first game coming off of Tommy John surgery. He gave up 2 hits and 0 runs in 4 innings pitched. Collectively, the Hokies' defense was strong and stout, holding East Tennessee State to just 5 hits and 0 runs all game. Here's what outfielder Sage Jenko had to say about the team's defensive performance.
I think it's just really smooth. Everyone's playing well, and every inning, no matter if there's an error or whatnot, we think on the next play it's going to bounce back and get a double play. I just think we have a lot of confidence.
The Hokies put together a complete effort, not only playing great defense, but also putting together a great game offensively. The Hokies scored in the first inning and never once looked back. The Hokies really took control of the game in the second inning, scoring 5 runs. The Hokies were led by Grant Mirana, who had 3 of the Hokies' 10 RBIs. Here's what head coach Patrick Mason had to say about the team's well-rounded effort today.
I thought we came ready to play today. Our at-bats, especially early in the game, were very good. And, we put pressure on their defense, and overall it was great. And Andrew McDonald did a great job.
This win brings the Hokies' overall record to 2-2. With VTTV, this is Ian Andrews.
That's all we have for you on this episode of Tech Total Access. Be sure to tune in next week for more hard-hitting sports action. And as always,
Go Hokies!
basketball game, fit little.
Oh my God, we're gonna yell. We need to do this.
We're heartbreakingly close though.
We'll start over. Alright. Yeah, don't say the action. Okay. What'd you just say?
People are wonderful people. No matter what I've said about them.
That's true. Okay, ready? 3.
Alright.
So guys.
That would be the greatest thing ever.
No. Ready.
All right, let's do this. Broad generalizations, folks. Da-da-da-da.
Okay.
Yeah, time out. Hold on. Can we talk about this for a second?
Ready.
Do.
Softball team.